everyone, I hope you guys doing great. This is going to be new format of my YouTube videos. I've been receiving a lot of complaints from some of you guys that I'm talking too much on my videos and you guys would like to see more details, how I shoot my images, how I retouch them. So I've decided to do a little bit of different, as I said, format, how I'm going to approach this whole thing. And today I'm gonna go through how I create that image, so you guys are gonna basically see my entire process. So please give me some feedback if you guys like this process of showing how I create my images, or you guys would like to see something different. Unfortunately, for this particular image, I don't have any behind the scene footage. I only have pictures, but we're going to go through them. It's going to be pretty much very clear for you guys how I shot that image, and then we're going to go through my entire retouching process. I'm going to show you all the steps, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of better understanding how I actually create my images. But before I go to the details, I just want to address one thing, because I have posted this image a few days ago and I received a little bit of backlash from a lot of you guys that this girl is very young and everyone is confused about her age. So just kind of clarify everything. Kalisa is almost 18 years old. She came in to the photo shoot with her mom, who was present for entire photo shoot. I know, and I don't understand why people making those kind of weird comments, but I just want to clarify this. And I know she looks very, very young. Even when she came in, I was a little bit confused, but that's her beauty. That's actually the way she looks. It's something which it's something unique about her. And I just want to clarify this, because I've been just keep receiving emails and messages from people, and all of a sudden a lot of people are upset about it, which I don't understand why her age and the way she looks is so confusing for people. So let's kind of have this behind us and let's jump into the actual photo shoot. So basically, I have shot this image in Atlanta during my headshot photography workshop. And we had this beautiful studio, and basically we were having a few people who are basically modeling for us for this photo shoot. And actually I was trying to find something interesting and something different in the studio, and they have a lot of interesting things. The studio is massive. Afif from Atlanta, I'm gonna link him, because if you guys from that area, you should reach out to him, because he's amazing photographer and he owns this studio. So, and he does also a lot of amazing stuff in that particular place. So if you guys, as I said, from that area, please check it out, because there's a lot of amazing things happening in that particular place. And he was kind enough to allow me to basically use his studio to do this headshot photography workshop. So let's jump into the photo shoot. So I actually found this amazing little art of New York, and there was pretty much just printed picture on the wall. And I said, basically, why don't we use that for creating a headshot? Kalisa, she had beautiful blue jacket, which I think would fit perfectly. And my typical setup, you guys probably know that from all my posts which I do, and there's basically two deep octas. One is 39 inches and the other one is the 27 inches as a kicker light. And also, which you don't see here, I did actually put additional background light, which was set up with to 1/16 of a power with blue gel on it. Even this background was already blue. I wanted to add a little bit more kind of the bluish tone to kind of make this whole thing look even better. And for the main light for this big deep octa, I have used the Nikon SB910, which you guys probably know. I shoot speed lights, and basically, and it was set up to 132 of the power, was about 1 meter and a half from the subject. And then I had kicker light with also the Nikon SB910, and basically was about 2 meters away, basically just giving me the nice separation. On the top of that, I had used my Light reflector, and in this case I use gold with silver because I wanted to have her tones be a little bit warmer. So the distance between the background and the subject was quite significant. I think was at least 4 meters away. We had a lot of space over there, so you know, I just wanted this whole thing to be a little bit blurred. That's why I moved my subject away from basically the background. So that was basically the setup, and I was about 2-3 meters away from the subject. So basically I took that image with my point and shoot camera, but I was not really far away from the subject. So let's jump into the equipment I used. So you guys probably also know, everyone who's following me on social media, let's kind of put this right beside each other so you guys gonna have a better view here. Let's hold on. So I use, of course, my Nikon D800, old camera, but still work perfectly. And when it comes to lens, I use my Nikon 70-200 VR2, and I used Nikon SB910, two of them for my the main and the kicker light, and also I use my Nikon SB800 for my background light. And then, of course, you guys already see it. I've used my two deep octas, the 39 inches and 27 inches. So this is the specs when it comes to my settings. So I was shooting at 200 millimeter focal length. So basically I use my I pushed my Nikon lens all the way to the end at 200 of a second f4, and the ISO was set it up to 125, and my white balance, which I didn't put it here, but I think I should do that for my next post, I had set it up manually to 5000 Kelvin. So that was my setting for this particular image, and basically we tried different poses, different things, just to kind of get this specific face expression. And let's jump into the Photoshop and how I actually retouch my image. If you guys gonna have any other specific questions, please feel free to contact me. I'll be more than happy to answer all your concerns or any additional questions you might have. The one thing what I want to point it out, because a lot of people are asking me about it, and I think this is the great time to point this out, why I'm shooting at f4. So this is actually something very, very important, and I pointed out on many of my vlogs, also whenever I have those live chats, that I want to have entire face sharp. And whenever you're shooting at 200 millimeters, the focal length, the distance basically for the sharpness is very, very small. And sometimes what might happen if your subject moves or your hand shakes or you move, and basically you might lose that sharpness. And you know, the sharpness can be shifted, and then you might have, let's say, top of the nose sharp and the rest of their face is blurred, or you might miss it, and let's say the face is basically out of focus and ears are in focus. So there's always issues. So you want to make sure that you're shooting at the focal length which allows you to do a little bit of moves, and you know, you're not going to lose that sharpness. But also, you know, you shouldn't worry that, you know, you might lose that bokeh from your image, because if the background is very, very far away from the subject, you're still gonna get this really nice you know, out of focus background, and you guys will see in a second. So this is pretty much the settings, and then you guys see the setup, and let's jump into my retouching. So this is actually retouched images, and that's the final image, the way it looked like. And so let's kind of go step by step how I've created this entire image. So let's kind of check this out, and let's go to the raw file. So this was the image which was the raw, straight out of camera, which already I think looks pretty neat. But there's a lot of things which need to be addressed. So first of all, you guys probably see the background kind of went a little bit the background was a little bit too high, and I have this black line underneath, which in my opinion should be filled with the background so you have consistency on the background. So there is still like some stuff when it comes on her skin, which still, like, her skin was perfect, but I just want to do a little bit of extra work just to kind of, you know, bring some of those features and make this whole thing look a little bit better. You guys probably also see there is some hair all over the place, which we're going to clean it up a little bit, and we're going to do some final toning. So let's jump into the details. So the first step, what I've done, as you guys probably see, I clean up the background. So basically what I did, I stretch it a little bit, and then I tried to kind of fill it, all this blank spot on the bottom, which kind of doesn't look pretty good. So that was the first step. The next step, also what I've done with this, you guys probably noticed I did some general cleaning on her face. So all these pimples, some of those things which were on her face, also I clean it up. And in this case I used my healing brush. Everyone who actually saw my tutorial, you guys probably know the process, but I'm going to kind of go for this. So if you want to find out more, I can send you some links so you guys can kind of check it out, this tutorial. And basically this tutorial will teach you this entire process, but I just want to show to everyone else. So I basically, in this first step, I clean up all the pimples, some of the hair on her face. So you guys probably can see it was pretty easy process, and it took me like literally a few minutes to kind of get this done. The next step was the dodge and burn. So as you guys probably know, on every skin there is some discolorations, and the dodge and burn technique will kind of clean this whole thing up. So that was before, and then I did my dodge and burn technique. As you guys can see, you know, some of the stuff underneath her eyes were kind of cleaned up, and you know, just kind of makes the skin looks much more smoother. Okay, so the next step, what I've done, I did some additional kind of work on her eyes. I just brightened them a little bit, give them a little bit more sharpness to make them pop a little bit more. So that was before, that was after. So pretty straightforward. The next step was I've done a little bit of color toning. So basically I went through a bunch of different steps, such as color balance. I did some contrast with black and white. I actually add a little bit of saturation to just kind of bring some of those colors and those tones. And curves I basically use to pretty much give the image a little bit of contrast. And then the last thing, I actually did some color adjustment in the camera raw. So that was the next step. So the following step, I actually just took this image for another, I would say, color grading, and I use selective colors just to kind of bring some of those colors back and give the image a little bit more pop. So that was the next step. The next step, I actually worked a little bit on the hair, and I did a little bit of kind of liquefying on actually the side, so the hair looks much more smoother. So you go to filters, liquefied, and there is like entire I would say little program which allows you to do some of those things. Okay, so the next step was actually I clean up the hair even more because I thought it was a little bit too messy. So I use, in this case, again, the healing brush, and just to kind of clean this whole thing up. The next step was basically another set of dodge and burn. So this is like a really light dodge and burn, where actually just like, because whenever you're doing any kind of color grading or you're changing the tones and colors, usually what happens, some of those colors get shifted and there is some issues. So that's why I found that the second kind of run for dodge and burn is something necessary, which brings everything and some of those discoloration back. And the next step was actually I work on the hair a little bit more, because I was just kind of a little bit this whole thing didn't look good, and I found this was a little bit kind of confusing. So I actually did a little bit of liquefying, but also in the same time I did additional kind of gradient around it just to kind of make her pop a little bit more. So like some of those layers were kind of stuck together, but there's two processes. I actually did the liquefying, and then also I did a little bit of vignette around her just to kind of bring her a little bit more. And I still was not happy with the hair, so you guys probably noticed it kind of looks weird right now, and this is because I have to move this background. So I've decided to basically squish this whole thing and just kind of make this look more natural, and I think this kind of, you know, it's not as distracting and doesn't look as weird. So basically let's kind of uncheck this entire process and kind of take a closer look how this image looked before and how the image looked at the very end of my retouching process. So that was before, that was basically when it's done. Some people were saying it's a little bit overdone. You know, everyone kind of have own opinion on how this image and how much you want to push this image. I found like I really want to push this to that kind of level. I want to bring some of those colors, some of those tones, and you know, everyone kind of has own opinion, but I personally really like it. Seems like she likes it as well. So this was actually the final look. So this is before, this is after. Okay, so I think that concludes everything what I was trying to kind of share with you guys. I hope you guys like it. I'm gonna be doing more of those actually breakdowns, and then hopefully you guys gonna be you know, kind of able to give me some feedback or some specific questions, and hopefully we can kind of work on this into some kind of details that I'm gonna know exactly what you guys are looking for. So thank you guys for watching. I hope everyone is doing great. I know we're still in the middle of this entire pandemic situation. That's why I wasn't doing too many of my vlogs, because I have my kid around, and he's basically 5, and there's no way I can actually videotape anything at my place, because he would be just all over the camera, and that would be like literally impossible. But I think this is gonna be much easier to do, because I can actually just sit on my computer and actually record this whole thing. So again, thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll chat with you guys very soon. Bye bye.